Okay. So, hi, folks. Again, my name is Pete DeCook. I'm the Assistant City Manager. And as Julia mentioned, we are into are we in year 5 now, Julia?
2022,
Yeah, so year 4.
Yeah, 5.
Year 5, yeah, year 5 of our
Yeah,
project.
you're right.
And every year it is dozens and dozens of families who join us for this very, very positive work as we keep making Clive a place where water lands and stays where it lands, as it gets absorbed in the soil and put to great benefit on your yards. All of that when we're talking soil quality restoration, has to do with decompaction, organic content. And Julia will share more information, so will Ken here in a moment. But one new wrinkle this year, and became a factor last year too, as you all know, we've had some lawn watering bans over the last 2 summers as we've been dealing with persistent high nitrate levels in our source waters. When we've talked about soil quality restoration in the past, it's largely been about how do we control runoff. But soil quality restoration also improves your soil health, which means you can water less. So, in times when we need to be thoughtful about how much we're using for lawn irrigation, having healthy soils means it'll be easier to comply and still get good, healthy lawn results that you want to have when we are in those water challenging periods of time. So another dimension to this work that we've been doing all together, and there will be certainly more to share as we go into future years, future growing seasons, when we're thinking about how do we best use these limited water resources that we have.
Very good. Thank you. Um, so I work for the Clive Public Works Department. We oversee public infrastructure like roadways and storm sewers, water distribution, and sanitary sewers. So I'd like to give a little bit of insight on how rainfall affects our storm sewer system. So I'm going to show you a picture here. This is just a general sense of the path that the rain will take. So the rain's going to fall on a street like this neighborhood in that upper left-hand corner. The rain's going to, fall down into our storm intakes like this next image on the that upper right. And then it the rain will also maybe go down into our creeks and cause erosion, like you see in this bottom left picture. You've probably seen something similar to that if you're on that Greenbelt Trail, or maybe like this picture on the lower right. If you're on a shore or a dock, you may see what water looks like after it leaves the creek and it's stored in a large body of water. Um, if we talk on a smaller level, zoom in a little bit on your house, you can see these areas with the darker blue. That's where that rainfall gathers and really concentrates on built surfaces. And so the gutters and the downspouts add speed and volume to that stormwater as it goes out to the road and enters into our storm sewer, like you can see down here. There's our storm sewer on the bottom. So this image assumes that the rainfall stays on the grass. You can see that there's no blue on the lawn area. But we know for some of this, some of the areas here in Clive, that does not happen. If you see, the concentrated blue that flows across your grassy areas, maybe you've got something similar to the picture here. This is an overland flowage easement, and this is a place that was designed in our yards to have water flowing through it, and that was designed for neighborhood safety. And some yards do not have this designated easement, and our goal is for all of you to have less concentrated um, speed and volume that contribute to erosion. So let's take a look at a couple lawns here. Maybe this is familiar to you. You don't have to have steep slopes to have a problem in your yard when rain falls. I know it frequently happens that steeper slope or changes in grade will see more problems, but it is definitely something that affects all of us, regardless of how the grade is. Now, rain should help with our sod grass. It should help us grow, but when we have poor soil quality, we kind of have yards that look like this. Again, they're fairly flat yards here, and the rain has not penetrated the surface here very well. Like Pete was talking, the soil quality restoration program that we have that will help with the decompaction. And when Ken shows his equipment, you'll get a sense of that. So now when we do have rain fall on these yards, the rain might run off and ultimately add to the load that goes into our storm sewers and creeks, contributing to the erosion with a speed and volume that we want to decrease. So a little graphic example of that, let's see if I can, there's my slide, is the darker colored drops and the lighter colored drops kind of show how the rain will soak down into the dirt. So we've got that sod grass up on the top of this image, and then as you get down farther below the turf, we can see that the soil profile in this image has not gotten that darker water drop soaking down as you go deeper into the soil, which is not what we want here. So soil quality restoration is one way to break up, the middle and top layers of this soil profile. So what is soil quality restoration and how can it work? I think you can see here in the picture, it's a stark difference. And I've definitely had a lot of residents come back and tell me that this was worth it, sign me up again. Hopefully, a couple of you are here on the call and can to attest to that. Our cost shared soil quality restoration program alleviates those poor soils. It lightens the burdens on our storm infrastructure and our creek. And we do follow standards with the Iowa Stormwater Management Manual. It's a pretty easy process that includes a deep tine aeration, followed by compost and then overseeding. This is not the equipment. I'll show you a picture later that does have the equipment, but you have either 2 steps or 3 steps, depending on how you want to have your yard managed. You will definitely have a deep tine aeration when you sign up for this program, and you will have a compost application. The overseeding is the optional 3rd step. You're not obligated to do that, and it's not included in the cost share. So this means that you as a homeowner, because we do batch and build, you don't have to go out and find a bunch of different contractors to interview and see if they even do soil quality restoration. You don't have to go get the quotes. We did that for you with our bidding process. And this is a picture here from our city manager last year. He had SQR treatment on his lawn. And so you might get a yard sign like this if you participate. We have 50-50 funding with you up to $1,000 per property on the city side. So if you have a really large yard, just know you would be paying more than 1,000. There aren't very many yards that we have in town like that. We have enough capacity for about 80 residential lots. And again, we've had plenty of people call and say that this was a great thing for them. It was very helpful. And we've had people participate more than once, actually. So hopefully we have everybody in. I do want to also make sure you all know it doesn't really matter what your baseline yard looks like. It seems that SQR has had a positive impact regardless of how old the residence is or really how big it is. So we've had a lot of people participate off and on. I think we've had some variation because of the pricing and because of grant monies. So hopefully you'll want to join your neighbors and participate. This is what it looks like. So we've already passed June. Everyone's already signed up and showed me their interest. We already did the bidding and we awarded the contract on the 23rd of July. So we are now getting into the offer stage. I did finish assembling everybody's offers and I've sent out a few already today. Everyone should be getting their offer tomorrow by lunchtime. So the next thing you will have to do is accept the offer, and I'll go through that with you. You have until August 24th to accept the offer, roughly. And then the treatments will start. Our contract says the beginning of September. So we can kind of talk about that also once Ken gets on the call. So just really rough for the most of you who have not gotten your offer by email yet. The average lawn size is about 8,000 square feet. So if you think about 8,000 square feet, and I already sent you an email, our pricing this year is 11 cents per square foot. That means you would pay half of that. And again, the city will pay up to $1,000. Like I said, there's a optional third step if you would like. That's overseeding, and that is separate from the cost share program. You would bear the full cost of the overseeding. So I want to show you how I measure the yard, and I'm just noticing now I did not get, where's my cursor? I didn't get this little area down here, that little part of the right of way. We measure the right of way. I don't know why it's over here, but it should be up. We measure the right of way to give you a smooth look when you're driving from the street. So it's your yard and the little pieces between the sidewalk and the street. So I measure the yard with aerial maps because we have flyovers for Dallas County, Polk County, and the city that happened in late 2025 for Dallas County, early 2025 for Polk County. So if you have added flower beds, patios, things that are maybe not permitted if you have a shed, and I didn't pick that up in the aerial view because of when the flyover happened in 2025, please let me know and I will adjust your offer. If you have a trampoline or swing set, I guess, Ken, you want to hop on quick and talk how you're gonna, do you treat around those? Do you need people to move them? What do you
Yeah,
say?
typically for larger things like that, we'll treat around them. We don't like to move personal property, just lessens the chance of damage happening to them.
All right, and I have reached out to a few of you, and I will note on the sheet that I share with A Plus who has a trampoline that I've seen. I've confirmed a few that I saw on the aerial maps. Um, so if there's one that maybe you just put it up this year, please let me know. And again, I will adjust, I will make a note in our spreadsheet that we share with the contractor, and I can recalculate your yard. Okay, so again, here's an example. Again, this is a pretty average yard, a little less than the average, but a pretty normal setup. So, like I said, the offers are just starting to come out. So they are two parts. There's the payment and the agreement. So the offer is when you pay, and then the agreement is giving A Plus permission to enter your property. So I need both parts to come in. We're going to break it down like you would normally. I'm going to show you step by step, and then I'll show you a little video here. Or maybe the order is different than that, but it looks like this. I send you an email with a link to pay, and you'll have the offer and the agreement attached to your email. So the message has the link that takes you to a screen that looks just like this. So you're going to select the soil quality restoration payment portal. This should pop up automatically with the link that I send you. And then this is what it looks like. You're going to be asked if you watched the recording or attended, and then if you have an irrigation system. And again, that's something that I will mark for the contractor to help you. You're going to enter all your info just like normal, like with your utility bill. And that's it. I get notice, and then I get your payment. I put you, I give you a little mark to show that you paid, and then I also look to see if you agreed. So if you didn't catch the video and it was a little too fast, this is blown up, a little more closed in so you can see what that screen looks like. So again, you're gonna mark down whether you attended tonight or if you watch the recording, which helps us set expectations and helps you know what you need to do for you to get the best results from the soil quality restoration treatment. So it is very helpful. If you can tell us whether you have an irrigation system, that's something that I cannot pick up from because you don't have that permitted, and I can't see it from the aerial maps. So that's going to help us, and we'll talk about that a little later with Ken. You will need to have that offer number. So you're going to have to get that attachment from your email and enter it into this space, so that I can keep track of you and get you on the work list. You're only going to enter the amount of money that you owe. There's 2 boxes on that offer when it comes, and I'll show you an example here. After you pay, you will get a receipt. If you think you paid but you didn't get a receipt, give me a call. All right, you need to get the receipt. So if you had something funny happen, call me and we'll try to work that out. This is what the agreement works out. This is the second part of the offer. So again, this just says temporary easement agreement to let A+ in. So I'm gonna stop sharing this and I'm gonna find an example document for you to look at. Okay, so here we've got an example offer here. I'm gonna have to share my screen again. All right, so this is what that offer looks like. This is a real offer that I used in 2025. So I don't know if you're looking at this and you recognize this lot, but you want to make sure that everything matches your property. So make sure that I've got your name, your email address. It could be multiple email addresses, your phone number if you want A+ to be able to get a hold of you by phone and email address. I believe, Ken, is it right? You can take more than one number and email?
Yeah, we can notify via text and email and multiples. Yep.
Okay, perfect. And then again, here's your offer number that you're going to need to use on that form. And then I want you to look here. This is the exhibit description. You need to make sure that that is the legal description found on your agreement. Make sure, because I've done it twice in the past, only twice out of this many years. I think Pete said it was 5. I've only done it twice where I had the neighbor listed on one document and your address was on that payment offer. So make sure that matches. All right. You're going to have your measurement here, your total cost, and then I'm going to break it down for you. There's a box here for the city share. And then this is the amount here. This last box is what the property owner owes. That's the amount that you will enter onto that payment form when you follow that link in the email. It's with the is it Community Connect that we use for payment now? So that's what the offer looks like. It's pretty short. The other thing that you're going to use for your offer is the easement document. So let me get that example agreement for the easement. And again, it looks, big official. It's, 6 or 7 pages long, but really we're just wanting to make sure that this is the exact property where you really live. And I'm going to share my screen again so you can see this. The main thing with this is that it needs to be signed. So this is an example from 2022. So right of entry and temporary construction easement between the city of Clive and the undersigned property owner and our contractor. So it's pretty standard language that we use for bigger construction projects. And this is the page where you're going to sign. You are the grantor. So you're going to sign your name, print your name, and then have your address. After this page, you are going to see, I think I have it on here. So you're going to have Exhibit A, which should match the legal description on your offer. Again, I don't want to have you pay for your neighbor and then have the treatment accepted at your house or vice versa. Exhibit B is going to be, yep, there it is. This is your lot. So depending on what documents I had available, this will either be the site plan from your house when it was built, so you can kind of see the outline of this house. But it should have the lot number, which is here. This is the house number up here, 12120, and here's the lot number 22. That should all match. If it doesn't match, let me know as soon as possible so that I can get the correct documents for you. If you need to walk your documents in, if you don't have a scanner, if you need to mail them, whatever it is, let me know. I'll try to meet you where you're at, whatever situation you have going on, okay? All right, so let me go back to our slideshow and turn it over to Ken. If you want to talk and let me know when you want me to change screens or slides.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for having us tonight. We've been participating with Clive for several years on this program. We do it a lot for our own clients and some other cities too. It's a fantastic program. Really helps with water mitigation and helps with the health of your lawn. It's just a win-win. It's a pretty simple process. Julia got into it already. You guys get the offers, accept them. Then we will, once we have the list of folks that are participating, we'll reach out to you guys and send you some documents if you want to participate and sign up to do the overseeding with us so that we can coordinate it and do it all together. It's best to do the services together to get the best possible outcome for it. So usually for us, that is it's one crew that will come in initially. That crew does the aeration and overseed. It's typically the same machine that does it. It's a small riding machine that they'll get on and hop on. It aerates, and then there's a hopper on it that overseeds at the same time. So it's a machine that it's designed to where it goes one speed. So some folks say, you're going too fast. They're designed to hit one speed, so the optimal depth of the plugs is pulled, and the exact amount of seed that needs to be broadcast is broadcast. So we've got those, and then we'll have some smaller aerators for tight spots next to fences, next to hard surfaces, that type of thing. And then if you look at this slide Julia's got for us in the lower right-hand corner is our compost buggy. And that is also a fantastic tool that we use. It spreads the compost. So it's the same thing. It goes one speed so that it spreads at the perfect rate that we want to do it for. So you get it in. You don't want it to be too thick because it'll drown out and kill your lawn. And then obviously you want the good amount of it to go through and do it. Questions that most folks have is the compost, they think it's just going to be dark black and rich. You'll see it, but the particles are small and those buggies are built so that they pulverize the particles even more when we spread them. So it'll dissipate down into the lawn, especially, you're going to see it more and if you've got some bare patches around the edges or the corners, but it's not going to be like we painted your lawn black. It's a good process and it's good stuff. The compost comes from the Metro Waste landfill out east. It's our yard waste that comes back for us, and a really good product that helps get that nutrients back into the lawn and helps with that water mitigation too.
All right, should we look at the next slide?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so
Yes.
this is talking about I thought I had your video. Do you want me to show your video?
You can if you have with that buggy working.
Yeah, let's show that to everybody so you can see um, how it's gonna come to you, how that product's delivered. And then Pete, if you wanted to say anything about, because I think you had the treatment once, what it's like to have, the compost, it does work down into that soil profile. All right, so I found the file and I'm gonna see if I can share this. All right, so Ken gave us this short video. Let's see if we can get it up here. All right, let's see if we can get this to play.
Yeah, there you can see goes along at a pretty good clip, but you can kind of see the difference between where it's been applied and where it hasn't. So they're good machines that are designed just to do this. We literally only use them for SQR treatments, and then we do some of this with some of our landscaping too. So that's the machines you'll see with the second crew that will come in and apply that compost.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I guess I wanted to just add on to the Metro Waste compost. That product has been certified to meet our standards for that Iowa Stormwater Management Manual. Um, Anything you want to add?
I don't think
It-
so.
if you're doing it for the first time, it will be a little bit of an eye opener for you when you look at your yard and see a very different look and feel than what you typically see out there. But rest assured, like Ken said, it only takes a couple of days for things to really settle in. And by the time you're ready to mow again, it's going to be more than established in your yard and giving you all those positive effects that the organic content and the decompaction would deliver.
All right, thank you. So let me go back to our slideshow. It's got those things that you'll want to do. I want you to be aware of all the preparation that will give you the best results. Let's see, can you all see my slide that says FAQ homeowner steps?
Yep,
Yep.
we got you.
Okay, so let's say you paid your money, you signed, and you sent it to me. I've put your address on the work list for A plus. And then, Ken, how are people going to know when their yard is coming up? What date?
They'll get we'll send out a couple of notifications. One, we'll just send out a broad notification before we start work that'll say, hey, thanks for signing up. We've got you on the list. Expect another communication here shortly. And then we'll send out a second notification that'll say, we'll start work at your home by this date. So it'll give a date, right? And that means that the aeration and seeding crew will be out and start by that date. And then we route the compost as a second crew. They'll typically come in approximately 48 hours after the seed and compost crew. Weather can change that sometimes, and other factors can pop into it, but it's very close to that. So after that, that you don't get a notification on the second crew, but they'll come in this couple of 2 or 3 days at the most after that compo or the seed and aeration crew has come through. And we'll send you notifications however we get you signed up for. We'll automatically sign you up for email and text. And so you'll get those and you'll get them in both fashions and whatever you put on the form that Julia sends out that you prefer to be contacted by.
Right. And so, yeah, however, whatever is easiest for you all, usually email so that I can have, I'm able to copy exactly. So there's less errors of me with my keyboard. All right, so you're going to get notified that the treatment's coming up for you before the crew arrives. You're going to need to mark your shallow utilities. So again, if you've got an irrigation system, landscape lighting, invisible dog fence, if you've got whatever those Roomba lawnmower things are called, I don't know what they're called. If you have anything in your yard, pins for that. We'll want that located. Ken, how do you want those marked?
Typically you can mark those, you can get flags, you can mark as long as we can see them marked, folks will we've had all kinds of things. As long as our crews can see something poking out of the ground so they can avoid those areas and not run them over, that's good for us.
Okay, and then will you be calling in any other like locates for the deeper utilities?
Yes, if on the sheet that we get to, if you guys have utilities, public utilities, we will call in locates on those. However, they're marked on Clive's sheet. If you have private utilities, like lines going to sheds, or some satellite, if some of you still have that, those are not marked by Iowa One Call. So those are ones that you'll need to get marked on your own.
And then if you have uh like micro trenching, you've got fiber to your home and that contractor pulled a permit, I do have those records and I will make a note of that with the information that I share with A plus. And again, I'm not going to look at any of that until I get your offer and your agreement back to me. Um, so let's keep going down our checklist. So according to our standards in the manual, we will want you to mow your lawns to 2 inches. We'll also want you to pick up pet waste and toys. If it's been dry, we're going to suggest that you do some kind of watering in your lawn and then no chemical treatment 1 day before. Ken, is that still right? 2 days for water and 1 day of chemicals?
Yep, just helps soften up the lawn, and we don't want any lawn care or anything done, within 24 hours before we come out.
All right, well, let's look at this next slide here. So after, okay, so aeration and seeding happened. 2 or 3 days later, the compost came in. This is what your yard looks like. The compost is a safe product. It is not toxic. Um, this says wait about a week before mowing. Pete already mentioned, that product will work down into the soil, past the grass blades and into the soil profile. You might want to rake up any, like maybe in the corners, maybe where the product's been laid down a little thicker. And then let's see, water lawn on the same day and then daily for 7 days and no chemical treatment for 1 week. Can you talk about that? Those last two
Yeah,
bullets?
the water helps the compost get down onto the soil level faster, better, gets it worked into the soil. It helps with the plugs from the aeration too. And then yeah, don't do any lawn care treatments on it for at least a week. That just helps keep things off and prevents any burning or any issues with the lawn with those exposed roots from the aeration.
I might add too, from the experience we've seen with a lot of different lawn owners, the watering definitely helps. There are a lot of ways to get very positive results, even if you don't end up watering all of those individual days. And always make sure you take advantage of what Nature Mother gives you for free. When you've got rain in the forecast, that's something that where you obviously wouldn't want to go out there and water over and above that if it's been a sufficient rain. But a good eye test, as you're going through the week, as you see it start to get incorporated, that's going to tell you whether or not you need to go do some of that feathering of some of the thick spots or adding a little bit of water to help things move along.
All right, and then I guess I want to go to that middle bullet about the thick crusted or compacted compost. I'm guessing with the buggy you have, that's not a frequent issue. Is that right, Ken?
Typically, no.
Okay. All right, so let's go to our next slide here. Again, that compost is certified to our standards. It's not dirt, so it's not going to level your yard. It's not going to kill your weeds. It's like a general fertilizer, I guess is what I would call it. So it will improve your soil quality. So whatever is growing, if it's grass or not grass, that's going to grow more. It's not manure is the big thing I want to emphasize. Oh, I guess this is where I had that buggy. Okay, never mind. We don't need to look at that. That's just how thick it's going to be. And like Pete said, it might be a little jarring the first time you see it. So again, we already watched that. So I guess we can move on to talk about yeah, spot treatment of weeds. Ken, can you talk about that?
Yeah, you could do the spot treatment of weeds, but follow your instructions. Whether you have a service like us do it or you do it yourself, it's okay to do that. It's not going to hurt the seed as long as you're not over applying it. So you can continue to treat your lawn normally. And like Pete had touched on, it's usually after a week or after a couple of rains or a couple of cycles with your irrigation system that compost really works down, and you really can't see it after that. So. It's not intrusive. It's not, it doesn't really slow you down, whether it's the kids or dogs or guests or whatever in the lawn. It's pretty easy to deal with.
All right, thank you. And so again, overseeding, it's not required. It is a time that's recommended. That's why we choose to do the program in the closer to the fall rather than in the spring or summer. So again, overseeding if you want to do it, that's a recommended seeding window, but it's not required and it's definitely outside of our cost share. Watering, however you want to do your watering. We're not asking for a lot. And you're probably gonna, like Pete said, you'll have results whether you do this or not. But we do encourage it for good results. Um, I don't know if we've looked at forecasts. Um, but if it ends up that we have a situation like this in late August, I don't know if we're gonna have a big dearth and a drought. Um, and I guess I'm not sure if we're caught up or if we're still in drought from years past. But yeah, we like to have that nice softer soil because you'll get a bigger plug when the aerator comes through. And again, the decompaction that is really important for the treatment. So if you have questions, let me know. There's our email addresses. I'm going to go through the chat and see what we have. The deadline is not on here, but it is Monday, 5 p.m. Monday, August 24th. So that would give A plus a little bit of time to get everything routed on their end. Again, this is a first come, first serve basis. We do have capacity for roughly 80 yards, but I don't know how many yards for sure until I get both pieces of your offer and because I'm keeping track. All right, so let's go through, or if Ken or Pete, if you've been watching that chat window.
Ken's
Um,
done a good job keeping up. I think maybe the next one there was Daniel's question about MetroNet fiber lines to the house. Will locates find those MetroNet fiber lines?
Yeah, MetroNet, as long as it's for, what they call public utility is something that goes from the street or wherever their box is to your home. That's usually most MetroNet is public. You can get into some townhomes and condos and associations where it is not. So if you call it when you call in your locates, Iowa One Call is great at it. You can call their 1-800 number and they can answer those questions for you too, because every place is, but 90% of the time, MetroNet and those types of services are located when you call that.
Yeah, I've got most of the information for internet to your house. If there are big lines going through the big backbone cables, that I also have that. And I think MetroNet, when you call them, if you've got 12 boxes in your backyard, that's when Iowa One Call is gonna flag that, if
Okay.
I'm if I remember right.
Yep.
Next question then is, can you apply, and I apologize if I butchered the name here, mesotrione while overseeding if interested?
I'm not a lawn guy. I'm a landscaper. So, be honest with you, I'm not sure what that is. But one of my lawn care specialists, we can call up. That's something. If you're wanting to apply it, I'm not familiar with that product, so I don't know that's something that we use. But if it's like a seed enhancer or something, you could apply that after we're done. Yes.
The next question we've already touched on about the thickness of the compost. For everyone's awareness, it's you should expect some variability. We're dealing with compost, right? And even with a precision machine, it's going to come out at various times just a little bit different. You can get to more of that even application with just a little bit of light feathering with a rake. But somewhere between that 1/2 to 3/4 inch is what is consistent with the spec.
Yeah, and you won't be able to measure that. That's probably one, folks,
Mhm.
you can't go down there and stick a tape measure in and double check it because it instantly works down into that soil because they are fine particles. But that's why we use those buggies because we set them and we know that they apply it correctly.
That's right. Um, there was a question then about the watering and whether or not we are in what happens if we go back into a sort of a restricted lawn watering period of time, which is a possibility. We're all at the mercy of the weather and what that ends up doing to our surface waters. We've dealt with that last year because we were still needing to operate the nitrate removal facility at that time. The good news is that we haven't had to turn that facility on this week. After the first 193 days of this year when it was running, it was real refreshing to have very low nitrate levels in all of our source water. So at least where we sit today, we're in a pretty good spot. And having so much of the watershed now covered by either crops or other things that are holding nitrates that are on the soil is giving us a good advantage. I think the bigger challenge we may be looking at would be what Julia described, those dry conditions. If we were looking at drought and we needed to start using less water because we needed to protect enough source water for essential purposes, that is a possibility. But if we are there and we need to, and even if we are just not and want to practice good conservation practices with odd even watering, we'd encourage people to do that For the purposes though of watering in your compost, this is in my mind a much smaller application than when you're doing that every other day lawn watering across multiple zones. So not a perfect answer for everybody on that one. One though that will take some sort of getting it to the moment and making best decisions when we get there. The next question was about sort of pointing out what is the depth of the plug, because the plug can take a lot of different shapes depending on what kind of conditions that are in the yard. Ken, with your equipment, what type of club length do you typically see?
We'll set those tines. They'll typically cut 3.5 inch plugs on them. Some of them will pull up perfectly and you'll be able to see them. Some of them disintegrate and fall apart right when they're pulled. So
Mhm.
we like those nice deep plugs to help that aeration function really well for you.
Yep, we agree. The spec talks about a plug that could be pushing up into something many inches above that. What we've found is that given the variability with lawn conditions, dryness, compaction that we run into, you really do risk doing some more harm than good if you try and pull too big a plug. And so having some discretion with our lawn care professionals here to make sure that they're getting the decompaction and not doing the harm has served us well. And A Plus has done a really nice job making those types of good calls when they get on each lawn. Okay, so next question. Uh,
Yeah, I'm trying to get all the questions here
oh,
that
yep,
that I
Julia's
can.
working.
Yeah. Um, so I guess we should maybe go through this again. Will the acceptance slash payment portal provide the cost of the optional overseeding, or is that handled directly with A plus? So Ken, do you want to tell people how they're going to get their estimate from you
Yeah,
about?
we'll have folks call you. They'll do it if whether they talk with you about it or you have questions. We'll have one of our lawn care specialists talk to you, and they will send a simple DocuSign over to you. You can just sign it digitally. It comes back to us, and that automatically activates it, and it'll attach it to your SQR program, so everything gets linked and it all gets done together. So it's very, very easy for you.
Mhm. And Julia, it looks like you were asked if you need if the homeowner needs to be at their home when the process is underway.
Usually people are not at home, from what I understand. I don't know, I mean, so our agreement allows you to come in whether the resident is home or not.
Yeah,
I don't-
typically most folks are not home. We don't need you to be home. We don't need to get inside the house or do anything like that with other services. So the crews aren't going to knock on your door when they're there. They're just going to hop out, double check they're at the right place, and then roll and go.
yeah, I guess I do want to emphasize that the access agreement gives the contractor access. We have had a few people call saying, I didn't know they were coming. Like they told me they were coming, but like they didn't knock. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Ken. And then I guess I wanted to clarify, so the acceptance and payment portal, that's not how you're going to pay the overseeding. Like Ken said, that's that DocuSign and the
Yep,
billing is
they'll sign the
separate.
DocuSign, and then once we complete the service, then we'll send them an invoice. The same text or email or however they choose on that. Our system will send that, so they'll get that as a separate invoice.
Let's see, I think there was a question about what the compost is made of.
Yeah, the compost is from it's our yard waste. So when you throw in your yard bags, the leaves, the sticks, the branches, cut grass clippings, landscape waste. It's everything that, like our company recycles. We do it, and we have a couple of waste bins, and one of it is for yard waste, just like every homeowner does. Metro Waste has a fantastic program. They take that, they'll sift it, and then they cure it. I think those piles sit for almost 2 years, so they turned into nice compost, and they have big batch shredders out there that chew it up pretty well before we even get it. So it's a mix of everything, like they touch. There's no manure, there's no added fertilizer. It is all just natural product right out of our own lawns and woods.
Yep, it's organic material.
Yep,
That's what we're doing.
exactly.
We're increasing that soil organic matter. And some of you, if you were here from past years, we have run a couple soil tests, soil content tests, and we will probably continue to test a few yards every year. Yeah, I see Pete nodding. So, and again, that's the way we keep track. Uh, so if you have other questions, we can't really say, hey, test my yard, but because we try to get a nice distribution, but that could happen, and we'll talk to you before that ever occurs, because we would have to come out and take the core sample by hand. All right, what else do we have here?
Oh, one new one just popped up.
Oh, yay,
There's
Trent. So you're familiar with the compost product. Yeah, good. So you're
question from Shelley about it. Their yard has a ton of clay in it. Would we need to do this multiple years?
Yeah, it's beneficial if you've got, like a lot of us have, newer subdevelopments have that heavy compacted clay. The more you do it, the better it gets. I mean, we recommend just aeration and overseed for every year for lawns like this, and the SQR of throwing in the compost with it just makes it even better. So, yeah, especially for those newer subdevelopments, that haven't had the mitigation back into the lawn, we highly recommend it every season. And fall is the best time to do it. We do some in the spring, but fall is just a better time of the year to do it because you don't get those heavy rains that can wash it out.
Mhm.
So I guess I want to add on to that, Ken. So our post-construction, our topsoil requirements came into effect in I want to say 2016. I
That's
just read
correct.
that recently. It's 2016. So for us, if you have a home um, from like the early to mid 1990s, until 20, say 15, you probably do have that clay, a very good chance of you having that. I recently, like just last week, spoke to a resident with a house from that area. He had that house built and intending to do just one treatment. He's like, this is so fantastic. And I just had part of my yard done. I need to have the rest of my yard done now. I'm trying to make up for the time when I had the opportunity to lay down more topsoil and I didn't. Is it so yearly? Yes, I would say yearly. We don't do it more frequently than yearly,
Yeah,
wouldn't you say?
very rare. Sometimes if I can probably count on one hand where we've done, a spring and a fall application on them, but usually once a season is more than enough.
And then our program runs only once a year.
Right.
I'm not seeing any more questions. We're almost to our 1 hour mark. Okay, well, I'm going to put my email address and phone number in the chat. You want to maybe take that other question there?
Yeah, you can do your broadleaf, treatments beforehand, just like you said, not we recommend not doing it, 24, 48 hours prior to the crews coming out, but you can keep that going.
Okay, so everyone should be getting your offers. If you didn't get it today, you will get it tomorrow before noon. I got them all wrapped up today. So, um, again, check everything. Our hours are, I guess maybe I'll put our hours in here. The hours at Public Works are 7 to 3:30 if you're going to make a call.
And Kent, the question answer that question about how do we stay in touch with people if they want to repeat or kind of keep their name on the list of folks who are interested. We do keep a running list of folks who are interested in the program, so we can make sure that folks stay on the list.
So for the cost share program, yeah, just tell me and I keep a list all year round. So just, yeah, just send me an email.
Okay,
I guess maybe we can wrap up 8 minutes early. And you guys all have my info if you have other questions. All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks,
thanks,
Julia. Thanks,
folks.
Pete.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Julia.